First at 9. This is Other Derana 24/7.
In tonight's headlines, Chief Minister Vigneswaran calls for federalism. Mano Ganeshan says Buddhism will retain supremacy in constitution. State raids commence against rice vendors. Sri Lanka cricketers pushing South Africans to top one-day international rankings. And Trump travel ban suspension upheld. Well, good evening. It's Friday, the 10th of February 2017. Welcome to Other Derana 24/7, and thank you for making us a part of your evening. I'm Mahesh Johnny. As always, let's begin with the local news. President Maithripala Sirisena emphasizes that there is a need to prioritize the allocation of funds and resources for education. The president made these comments addressing the 50th anniversary celebrations of D.S. Senanayake College in Colombo today.
D.S. Senanayake College, Colombo celebrated its 50th anniversary under the patronage of President Maithripala Sirisena. The president declared open a 3-story building constructed with Education Ministry allocated funds.
We have introduced revolutionary changes to the education system in the last 2 years. This is a year in which we have introduced the digital classroom. We have planned on establishing 100 digital classrooms within the year. Our aim is to connect our education system with the digital journey of the modern world. That is why the current government has decided to provide computer labs to all students who are qualified for A-levels. Since we recognize the value of education, we have also decided to provide education insurance to the 4.5 million students in the country.
We are happy
with many aspects of our education system. However, there is a concern regarding the proper usage of resources and funds allocated for education. We have given a large amount of money to the Education Ministry and local government last year. Without any prior notice, I visited schools in Samanthurey in Akkarepattu. When I asked them what difficulties they were facing, they went on to say that they do not have a proper toilet, desks and chairs. I am not too sure whether we have informed the Education Ministry through circulars as to how they should prioritize allocated funds. Last year, some of the provincial ministers said that there was an excess of money for them. So they requested to allocate the surplus to other ministries. I believe that monies allocated for education should be used as per prioritized goals. Well, rice prices are making headlines across the nation these days. Now, former President Mahinda Rajapaksa today reacted to the current prices of rice in the country after a meeting with former members of the Provincial Council of Kaluthara district.
In local government institutions have broken down. Dengue is spread throughout the country. There is no proper garbage management and the city remains unclean. People cannot bear escalating costs of living. This is due to the delay in local government elections. They have discussed future actions. They are ready to hold protests around the country. Actually, the stocks of rice they are talking about are not here. Are they available in shops? There are long queues in Satosa outlets. The president is considered as the son of a farmer. The minister is from Rajarata, Anuradhapura. I believe stopping 400,000 acres of cultivation lands is a great loss for the country. The situation would not have arisen if that was done. They said that there was an excess of rice and took Mattala as a paddy storage. But now, we have neither paddy or rice, nor the airport.
In one of our headline stories, the rise of Tamil people or Eluha Tamil Virodha rally was held in Batticaloa today under the patronage of Northern Province Chief Minister C.V. Vigneswaran. Organised by the Tamil People's Forum, the protest march commenced at the Clock Tower in Batticaloa this morning. Members of various organisations including Plot and EPRLF also participated in the rally. Protesters were seen carrying slogans that stated the northern and eastern provinces should be united again and the military should be removed from the provinces. Among several demands, protesters urged information regarding missing persons as well. They marched until Navakuda Stadium in Batiklo.
For 2000 years, the majority in the northern and eastern provinces comprised a Tamil-speaking community. We are not carrying out a political conspiracy through this Eluha Tamil program. Instead, we are trying to request and protect the rights of Tamil-speaking people in a democratic manner. We are not demanding separatism here. We want federalism. We are asking for a constitution through which we can protect our identity and govern ourselves.
Venerable Professor Bellanvila Vimalaratna Anunayaka Thera says that reconciliation among communities cannot be established through the constitution. He made this statement when Minister of National Coexistence Dialogue and Official Languages Mano Ganeshan visited the Bellanvila Rajamahaviharaya to discuss matters pertaining to reconciliation and the proposed constitutional reforms. We cannot create reconciliation through the constitution. There is no use if changes introduced through the constitution are not embraced by the people. Tamil people do not want to divide this country. They need to live respectfully and to be treated equally.
Clashes between the Sinhalese and Tamils occur due to a lack of understanding.
It's the lack of understanding coupled with acts of politicians.
Minister Mano Ganesan addressed the media after the discussion.
As a government, we go around the country and obtain views of the people. There are extremist suggestions among them. There is Sinhalese extremism as well as Tamil extremism. We don't accept all suggestions. I responsibly state that the place Buddhism has in the constitution now will not be changed. If anyone suggests to change the place for Buddhism, the first person to oppose it will be me. Don't lie to gain political mileage. We will not let the country divide. People are aware as to who is trying to do that. They will be cursed by the people.
Also in one of our headline stories, the Consumer Affairs Authority has begun raids to round up vendors who sell rice at prices higher than the government stipulated maximum retail price. Today, the Consumer Affairs Authority carried out raids in Colombo, Kandy and in Galle. Officials have taken legal action against businessmen of 5 stores so far. Meanwhile, 1,215 kilograms of rice, which were not in a consumable state, were also found in a store in Kandy.
We will present this particular rice bulk before the Magistrates Court in Kandy on Monday. We request vendors to sell rice as per the maximum retail price that is being imposed, or else we will take legal actions against them.
In Galle, the regional office of CAA were able to uncover 8 supermarkets that were selling rice at a higher price than the maximum retail price imposed by the government. The Nigerian national who was arrested on charges of scamming over 4.3 million rupees from a woman was remanded today. The suspect was presented before the Badula Magistrates Court and was remanded until the 22nd of this month. Police arrested the suspect in Malambe upon a complaint filed by a 33-year-old woman from Kanupalala, Badula. The woman had met the suspect via Facebook and he had claimed that she will be gifted with gold jewelry from Nigeria for her birthday upon depositing 4.3 million rupees in his account. Although the woman has deposited the money, she had not received the jewelry in return. Later, she filed a complaint with the Badula police. We contacted senior lecturer Dr. Pratibha Mahanamaheva regarding legal measures that could be taken against internet-based fraud.
The Central Bank of Sri Lanka has clearly stated in which institutions people can deposit their monies. Before transacting on social media, we should find out if these companies are registered, how credible they are, and where they are located. We can get the necessary details of the company from provincial councils. There is no law related to Facebook advertisements in Sri Lanka yet. Such fraud will be seen in the future on a major scale. Ensure your own security. If not, you will be in trouble at a time where there are no laws for such fraud.
නැතිනම් නීති තාම ඇවිල්ලා නැති වෙලාවක Tamanට ප්‍රශ්න ඇති වෙන්න පුළුවන්.
We also contacted Roshan Chandragupta, Senior Information Security Engineer of the Sri Lanka Computer Emergency Response Team.
You might receive messages stating that you have won a lottery and you have to obtain a huge amount of money. Verify with the particular organization whether you are a real winner, and if not, make a police complaint and take some legal action against people who try to fraud you with money. So if you see such a scenario, what you can do is you can report it to the Facebook stating this account is a fake account, so that the Facebook will take action against that fake account by removing it.
In other local stories, elections for the presidency of the Sri Lanka Bar Association for year 2017-2018 will be held on the 21st of this month. Attorneys Anura Maddegoda, UR De Silva and RRRS Thangaraja have declared their candidacy for the post. Now, having previously brought to you the views of two candidates, today we feature views of the final candidate, Attorney Anura Maddegoda.
The Bar Association's reputation, its integrity, has been adversely affected over the past few years, that I thought it is time for me to run for presidency in order to raise the standards, to raise the integrity of the bar. I worked tirelessly for the restoration of the rule of law. I worked for the enhancement of the integrity of the bar. I stand for raising the standards of the bar. Given the bar the assurance that I will stand for a principled leadership for the Bar Association. As regards issues concerning constitutional reform, my position is that I will do as the bar will require me to do. I will certainly not act arbitrarily in those matters.
When asked about the Bar Association's affiliation with certain political parties, this was his opinion.
I do not subscribe to the view that the Bar Association favors any one political party. I believe Bar has always been independent. It has been fearless. As president of the Bar, I will not take any political sides. I will act according to the dictates of the Bar.
Sri Lanka's right to information laws have been ranked third best in the world and becomes the best in South Asia. According to a Canada-based Centre for Law and Democracy, and the combined efforts of rules and regulations added a full 10 points to Sri Lanka's already strong score of 121 points out of a possible total of 150 on the RTI ratings. Mexico tops the ratings with a score of 136, while Serbia is second with 135.
When we were presenting the Right to Information Act and passing it in the Parliament last year, it was ranked the 7th best information act in the world according to the World Institution that ranks such acts. Within our region, it was ranked second only to India. Within 6 months, we released the relevant Gazette notification providing freedom of information to the people of our country. Now, the ranking institution has named our Right to Information Act the 3rd best in the world. Inside our region, it outranks even India, rising to become the best within the region. We are happy to have achieved this just within 6 months.
The irresponsibility of humans have affected the lives of helpless animals for decades. Whether intentional or not, they often suffer greatly from simple cases of human negligence. A heartbreaking story from the Gallala area in Polonnaruwa was reported on Other Derana.
All of this polythene was not found in a garbage dump. Instead, inside the digestive tract of this young elephant.
We have been treating this elephant for nearly 10 days. There is a lot of polythene inside his body. We removed 15 kilograms of polythene earlier. We have removed as much as we can.
There have been long discussions about dumping garbage properly in our country, but none of the discussions have brought solutions. Humans are affected by these problems, but animals are helpless in dealing with the fallout and suffer painful fates like these. We found the jumbo victim in the middle of the Gallala area bordering the Jalagalum Nimna National Park. He has been consuming garbage dumped by tourists and villagers and has been suffering for the past 12 days from indigestion. Vets confirm the situation will be fatal. The veterinary medicine unit in Giritale has been fighting to save the stricken animal for 10 days, but time is running out.
But in a situation like this, it is hard to save an elephant. We are looking at the situation in a humanitarian way and treating it while it lives. During the past 4 years, nearly 15 elephants have died in garbage dumping areas. We have to take immediate action to save these young and valuable animals. It is an impossible task to save the lives of elephants who have consumed garbage containing polythene.
While environmentalists and authorities are engaged in an ongoing battle to save the remaining elephant population in the country, we as citizens have a responsibility to not dump waste recklessly. We can ensure that our negligence does not add to the problem of creating environmental and health issues in the country.
On to business news now. Minister of Finance Ravi Karunanika says that the current government is looking forward to sustainable economic growth through the implementation of sound macroeconomic policies. The minister made these comments addressing the annual brainstorming session of the SARC Development Fund held in Colombo yesterday.
The annual 3-day brainstorming workshop to draft a strategic plan of the SARC Development Fund was held in Colombo. Representatives from the SARC Development Fund Secretariat participated in the workshop, where efforts for the region's economic development for the year 2017 were discussed at length.
Parallel could be drawn in this regard with the theme of Sri Lanka's national budget of 2017, which is Accelerate Growth with Social Inclusion. We look forward to the sustainable growth of the economy managed with sound macroeconomic principles. It is a fact that national debt burden is of tremendous concern. The government of good governance, led by two statesmen par excellence, His Excellency Maithripala Sirisena and the Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe, forging a unique partnership of diverse political affiliations, will ensure a better tomorrow for all Sri Lankans and a future prosperity for our motherland.
Also commenting on the economy, Minister of Law and Order and Southern Development, Sagala Ratnayaka, says the country is dragged into an economic crisis as a result of the previous government not executing a plan that enables economic development.
The government had to pass the burden of debt to the people. They developed the country but did not consider the economy. Although the Hambantota port was constructed, only one ship calls a day. We have to pay $1.5 billion for this. They built an airport in Matala and only one aircraft flies in. Only a few people use this airport. It was a huge cost, but the economy was not strengthened by this. Development should go forward on par with economic advancement. If they did it right, we could have managed resources in Hambantota well and taken the economy plan forward. I request people to be patient and to support us. Unexpected situations may occur. The price of rice increased and it is difficult for people. We are aware of that. The President always discusses the issue. We took more time at the cabinet meeting to talk about the issue recently. We will soon take control of rice prices again.
Well, several irregularities and discrepancies that had occurred in the construction of the Suryavava Cricket Stadium were brought to light in the COPE report. Chairman of COPE, Parliamentarian Sunil Handunethi, spoke on the matter at a media briefing yesterday.
Sri Lanka Cricket was named one among the 15 loss-making state entities in the COPE report. Construction of the Suryavava Stadium was highlighted as a process that had been riddled with financial irregularities. Several other issues with technical and financial irregularities were also identified in its finances.
One of the main points discussed was that initially an expense of 1.2 billion rupees were estimated to build the stadium. This was not built specifically for the need of Sri Lanka cricket, but was very clearly a gift from China Harbour Company. This was an extra initiative. The initial estimated cost was 1.2 billion rupees. The agreement was such that the SLC paid 200 million and the government paid 1 billion rupees. But afterwards, the bills were presented as 2.8 billion rupees. Then, 3 years ago, when we investigated, the bill had become 4.2 billion rupees. At present, China Harbour Company is presenting bills with added interest rates valued at 5.4 billion rupees.
China Harbour කියන ආයතනය පොලිස් සහිතම නැවත දැන් බිල් පත් ඉදිරිපත් කරනවා බිලියන 5.4කට.
Central Bank Governor Indrajit Kumaraswamy opines that divesting non-strategic state enterprise is the best option to manage the country's current debt position. He said that Sri Lanka is in the process of borrowing up to $2.5 billion via a syndicated loan and sovereign bonds this year.
Approval has been got for $1 billion for the syndicated loan. And we are asking for approval for 1.5 billion. Yeah, both are cabinet approval. Up to 1.5 billion for the sovereign bond. On top of that, if the agreement with China Merchant goes through, another $1 billion is expected. And in my view, that is a very important thing for the country.
He said that the path that central bank anticipates will take the country to an external reserves position of about $7.5 billion by year end from $6 billion at present. Government debt service obligations for 2017 amount to $2.6 billion. Governor Indrajit Kumaraswamy went on to speak of the importance of divesting non-strategic state assets.
Mattala Airport also there is some interest. So there is, I think, about 250-300 million there. And then there are a number of, as I said, hotels, commercial property, various other things which are on that list that the government has. Clearly, if we can raise that kind of money, we can do some good liability management. We can pay down some domestic debt and we can increase the tenor of some of our foreign debt. Raising money through selling assets at this point would be tremendously beneficial for Sri Lanka.
Fitch Ratings confirmed Sri Lanka's rating at B+ and revised the outlook to stable from negative, citing better fiscal performances, favourable growth and improved policy coherence that has eased near-term balance of payment pressure. The rating agency, however, warned that negative rating action could be triggered if there was a reversal of fiscal improvements, ultimately leading to a loss of investor confidence of derailment of the IMF programme.
Fitch says Sri Lanka's B+ rating balances weak public finances and strained external liquidity position compared with peers against the steady progress made on the country's ongoing IMF-supported program. Fitch also affirmed the country's ceiling and issue ratings on Sri Lanka's senior unsecured foreign and local currency bonds at B+, while short-term foreign and local currency issuer default ratings were affirmed at B. Fitch estimates Sri Lanka's 2016 fiscal performance was better than in 2015, following strong revenue growth that was supported by a value-added tax hike. This, along with lower government spending, should narrow the deficit in 2016 to around 5.6% of GDP from a deficit of 7.4% in 2015. Fitch believes the 4% VAT hike in 2016 and other revenue reforms are likely to support further fiscal deficit reductions in 2017, leading to a downward revision from 7% to 4.7% of its 2017 deficit forecast. Fitch estimates overall gross general government debt to have reached close to 77% of GDP by end 2016. Further, foreign currency debt, which is close to 40% of GDP, weakens Sri Lanka's fiscal finances as it increases the risk of higher debt in local currency terms if the rupee depreciates sharply. Fitch says that Sri Lanka's external liquidity position is weakened by low forex reserves and high external debt service payments. Sri Lanka's external finances are vulnerable to a sell-off in treasury bills and bonds by foreign investors, which currently account for nearly 30% of foreign exchange reserves.
On to sports, and we begin with cricket. Hoping to avoid a 5-0 whitewash and in an effort to prevent the hosts from ascending to the #1 spot in one-day internationals, Sri Lanka won the toss at Centurion and elected to field. Sri Lanka have just begun their reply and they are 9 runs for no loss just a short while ago.
Sri Lanka T20, Morris and Tetlakoyo in for Shams in Pretorius.
There was not to be a breakthrough until the South Africans reached 187, with the hosts finishing on 384 for the loss of 6 wickets in their 50 overs.
So that's going to go for 4. Oh, that's nicely played. That's a half volley. An apology, actually. Oh, that's cracked away. Lovely. Got that through the covers. Over pitch that time from Luckmal.
Quentin de Kock led the charge for the South Africans with 109 off just 87 deliveries, and Hashim Amla initially provided support and then accelerated to score 154.
That's gone a long way up, mid-off, circling.
Lakmal and Madhushanka were Sri Lanka's leading wicket takers with 3 and 2 respectively, but both were expensive despite their tallies.
Oh, that could be gone. Yes, it is. He's on his way. He's just...
Bit of golf news now. Bad weather has forced organisers to halt play partway through opening round of the PGA Tour's Pebble Beach National Pro-Am, with 3 players sharing the lead.
Little-known Americans Rick Lamb and...
On World Tonight, we begin in the US, where President Donald Trump's travel ban will remain blocked. That is according to a federal appeals court ruled yesterday. The unanimous ruling from a 3-judge panel means that citizens of 7 majority Muslim countries will continue to be able to travel to the US despite Trump's executive order last month. It is a significant political setback to Trump's new administration and raises questions about how the courts will view his apparent vision for an expansive use of executive power from the Oval Office, on which he is anchoring the first early weeks of his presidency.
The 2 states said Trump's travel ban harmed individuals, businesses and universities. Citing Trump's campaign promise to stop Muslims from entering the United States, they said the ban unconstitutionally blocked entry to people based on religion. The court ruling, which followed a hearing on the case on Tuesday, does not resolve the lawsuit but relates instead to whether Trump's order should be suspended while litigation proceeds. The appeals panel said the government presented no evidence to explain the urgent need for the executive order to take effect immediately, and the court rejected the administration's claim that it did not have the authority to review the president's executive order. The Justice Department said that it was reviewing the decision and considering its options. The US Supreme Court will likely determine the case's final outcome, but the administration runs the risk of having only 8 justices to hear the case, which could produce a tie and leave the lower court ruling in place.
Well, violent scuffles erupted in South Africa's parliament yesterday as members of the Economic Freedom Fighters were forcibly removed after President Jacob Zuma was interrupted during a speech. The leader of the EFF, Julius Malema, shouted at Zuma and he attempted to deliver his State of the Nation annual address.
The 74-year-old leader stopped reading his speech and sat down as members of the far-left party kept up the interruption with questions for about an hour. The brawl then commenced when EFF members dressed in red were being forcibly removed from the chamber by security personnel. Amid the turmoil, the main opposition Democratic Alliance Party leader Mbusi Maimane also walked out of parliament, saying Zuma was unqualified to hold office. Zuma's popularity has fallen after a series of scandals. An anti-corruption watchdog called for a judicial inquiry in November into an influence peddling in Zuma's government. These allegations were denied by Zuma.
Let's move on to the weather now. Ground frost can be expected at some places in the Nuwara Eliya district in the early hours of the morning. Except for a few showers in the Ratnapura, Gaul and Mathura districts, mainly dry weather with colder nights and mornings is expected to continue over most parts of the island. Misty conditions can be expected at some places in the western, Sabaragamuwa, central and southern provinces during the morning. Well, that is a part of your world tonight here on Other Derana 24/7. For the latest on local, international, business, sports and entertainment, do log on to www.otherderana.lk. You can also like us on Facebook or follow us on Twitter at Other Derana. We'll be back again on next Monday at 9 p.m. I'm Mahesh Johnny. Good night.
Information 24 hours a day. This is Sri Lanka's premier news channel, Other Derana. 24/7.